In today's episode, the Honda Prelude. Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. The channel that brings you car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. So if you're interested in this very niche subject, please don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, back to today's episode. I thought we'd look at the Honda Prelude. So let's throw that on the board and have a little bit of a chat about it. So here it is, a lovely Honda Prelude brochure. Now the reason why I put this on today is last week we looked at an all-range Honda brochure for around about 1976, 77. And that was the all-range for the time. That was just predated the Honda Prelude, which went into production in 1978. So I thought, great opportunity to look at this first generation Honda Prelude. Now, this, unlike the last one, isn't an all-range brochure. It's just purely looking at the Prelude. And it's actually quite a big wordy brochure, this one, surprisingly enough. Maybe we'll have to see what we're going to look through. I don't know how we'll get on, but I think we should get on with it. First thing, I'm going to turn the brochure around the other way, though. Because this one does have a dealer stamp on it, it's very difficult to read, though. I think it says Punch Bowl Motors Limited in Halifax. Hard one to see though, isn't it? And then if I move the camera back, just to give you a bit of an idea what that back of the brochure looks like. But let's move to the first page. And here we are on the first page, straight into it. And like I say, it's a big brochure, so I didn't want to do too long an introduction really, because I think this video is going to be on the longer side. Although I'm not sure I'm going to read everything word for word. It's always hard to balance what the viewer wants to see and making the video too long that nobody would watch everything. But maybe I'll just pick some points out. But to start off, a lovely image of this Prelude. And at the top here it says the Prelude, Honda's superb new creation. A perfect harmony of performance, luxury and safety. The symphony of style, a classic composition. Performance. The Prelude has been engineered to provide you with a beautifully balanced combination of performance and handling characteristics, which make the car a real joy to drive. See pages 4 to 7. Luxury. The Prelude has been equipped on a lavish scale, offering you a list of standard items which is unique to its class, pages 8 to 11. And then safety. Honda's painstaking attention to the passive safety aspect of the Prelude has resulted in a combination of features which contribute solid benefits to the passengers. The Prelude is a very safe car to travel in, pages 12 to 14. So it really goes into depth, breaking this up between performance, luxury and safety. So like I said, I'm not sure I'm going to read everything, but let's see how we get on. Let's turn the page over. So, like it said, we start with performance, showing 3 Preludes going round this test circuit, presumably. I'll go through these 4 different key features and then we'll come back to these images. So at the bottom here it says the Prelude's body offers exceptionally low wind resistance and a high degree of stability at speed. The shape was refined through a series of searching wind tunnel tests which have resulted in such features as the front air dam and the absence of rain gutters. Actually, that's early, isn't it, to lose rain gutters on a car? Obviously, most cars at this time still had gutters on there. So effectively, has the airflow of the car been engineered that rain and dirt are carried away from the windows automatically? The aerodynamic efficiency of the body also results in improved fuel consumption at motorway cruising speeds. Wind tunnel tuned body. And it was actually quite a square car at the front, typical Honda design language for the time, so it doesn't look particularly aerodynamic, I must admit. And here is a very simple little image that goes with that text. The next one is Honda's insistence upon superb handling for the Prelude has resulted in a sophisticated suspension system with front and rear anti-roll bars. This system and the Prelude's front-wheel drive combine to provide excellent ride and cornering characteristics, all independent suspension. And then we get a bit of a drawn diagram to represent this. Next up, the Prelude's steering system has been designed to complement the suspension characteristics. It is a smooth but very precise, calling for just 3.26 turns from lock to lock. Rack and pinion steering system. It demonstrates this by just showing us a picture of the steering wheel, but it does give them a nice chance to have a look at that very interesting dashboard. Actually, it's a really nice dashboard actually on the Prelude. Unusual steering wheel, we can see the horn buttons on that, but interesting gauges. Particularly interesting that is that speedometer, a big speedometer in the centre there. Next up, it tells us the suspension job is made still simpler by the provision of light cast alloy road wheels. The resulting reduction in unsprung weight makes the Prelude more sure-footed on rough or uneven road surfaces. The wheels are also enhance the purposeful appearance of the car. Cast alloy wheels. And there they are. Look a little bit old-fashioned just by the very fact we haven't got a low-profile tyre. We've got a big chunky 70s tyre on there, but I do like that look. I actually prefer that look, if I'm honest. And very unusual, isn't it, to get standard cast alloy wheels at this time in the 70s. I don't know how many cars were doing that actually. And then the car is going down the test circuit. Looks like we've got a white one, a blue one, and a red one. Not the best images, but we can see it's got head restraints on there, which is nice to see at this time in the UK. And we can also see it's quite a boxy front end on this front first generation, so you won't think it was that aerodynamic, but very much a Honda design language for the time to have those sort of square headlights like that, like a lot of Hondas at the time. And I guess you can even argue when the Triumph Acclaim came out, it was still coming up with that design language, although again you can argue the Triumph Acclaim was a Honda. But yeah, interesting, and I quite like the design, I must admit. But moving on. And it carries on talking about performance with more features. I'm not going to read the whole thing this time because, like I said, it is too wordy. It's almost like a book. I'm very surprised. Obviously, they were very proud of this car when it came out. At the top here, if I just move into this image, talks about the 5-speed gearbox. So nice to see a 5-speed box. Powerful rectangular headlights. A dual circuit braking system. And this rather lovely image with two of them almost look like they're racing against each other, one with the sunroof open, one without. Talks about a powerful overhead cam engine, which is certainly worth including. So it tells us here the engine is the heart of any performance car, and Honda have many years experience of producing high performance engines. The Prelude has a 1600cc overhead cam engine and a very carefully balanced crankshaft for smooth performance at high revs. The engine produces a full 80 PS at 5,300 RPM for excellent acceleration and a lusty 12.9 kg of torque at 3,500. And then we get this white, or I think it's more likely to be silver example going over a bridge. Not the best images really actually, because they're only tiny pictures and they're a little bit blurry. It's not the camera that, it's just, you know, because these are pictures at speed. So we then move on to the luxury aspects of the Prelude. They really tried for everything, weren't they? A little bit of a sporty, but you know, a luxury version. Weren't cheap cars at the time. We haven't to forget that. It weren't like the original Civics being like a budget motor. They were certainly trying to move their range into more a sort of a higher class vehicle because they've already captured the market with the reliability. Anyway, let's see what it's got to say. So an electric tinted glass sunroof, which is a little bit of something special for Honda, and I'll talk about that more. Something, you know, that kind of like Prelude actually became one of its sort of trademarks, I guess. Probably the most striking of the Prelude's long list of standard equipment items is the electrically operated glass sunroof. This is provided with a rigid blind so that you may close any one of a vast combination of settings. With the blind closed, you have the comfort and intimacy that winter evenings demand. Open the blind and you can enjoy the spring sunshine while keeping out the cold. The roof's smoked glass cuts out unpleasant glare. On fine summer days, you can have all the fresh air you need without drafts. For a wind deflector, automatically operates when the roof is operated. And then we get little images of it going through its various settings. If you just don't mind me just moving the camera down as it squeaks. There we go. So a big sunroof, and like I said, that was a bit of a trademark for Prelude actually, and the Prelude was the first Honda model to offer a power sunroof as standard equipment. We also get a radio designed for drivers. It is typical of Honda's concern for the driver that they do not just add a radio as standard equipment, but they give profound thought to the driver's needs and design and installation that is unique in its operation. Some of the advantages of this radio are the elimination of tuning deviations which occur with push button units, smooth and simple station selection and high sensitivity, which, you know, is fair enough and all that, but I think what is special about it is how unusual it is. Look at that radio close to the steering wheel as well, so I kind of like feel that this is almost like something Citroen would do, but here it is, Honda making this very unusual and very close to the steering wheel radio, which I'm surprised didn't catch on, and we don't see that sort of thing today, really. Interesting. We also get a digital clock with quartz accuracy. More thoughtful provisions are evident in the design of the digital clock. The intensity of the display is linked to the light switch, making the clock easy to read at night. The clock display can be tuned or turned on when the ignition is off. The time can be simply adjusted by means of a set of buttons. And there it is. Nothing special today, but I'm sure that looked great at the time. And then it talks about long journeys without fatigue. Careful attention has been paid to the provision of adequate lumbar support and freedom of shoulder movement in the design of the Prelude seats. The fabric upholstery has also been carefully chosen. It absorbs and distributes the weight of the body to provide enhanced comfort. And it gives us a look at the seat design. And actually it does look a nice seat. And then finally we do actually get a picture of the Prelude actually parked, which is nice. I must admit, none of the photography is of the highest standard. It's a bit grainy even in the brochure, but let's just move in a bit further. We bring it in there, gives us a look at those alloy wheels again. And then what I think is quite unusual rear styling. So we get the big door, doesn't look like there's a great deal of room in the back. And then the boot area, and even the fuel flap looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Lockable with a Honda badge on there. Now, for the next generation, they went, you know, way different from this quite a boxy looking car, which would have been fine for the time, but they decided to go for a more sporty look with pop-up headlights, and I think that was my favourite generation, the next after this, but still, I do find this design very interesting. Continue talking about luxury, lovely front shot, which we'll come back to in a moment. I'm just going to move the camera through these images and then we'll tell you what it's kind of like talking about here. Now, as we're looking at the rear here with the boot or trunk open, I think this is actually my favourite design actually is the rear of it. I do love these rear lights on these first generation Preludes. We can also see how it's badged, of course, and it's a reasonable size boot, and that's what it's really talking about here. It's telling us most cars in this class have got an inadequate boot size, and here's your Prelude, plenty of space inside. Tells us we can also get the optional 3-speed automatic if we prefer. A little bit of a diagram showing us the free flow ventilation. And it tells us about a few more features. So typically Honda, such attention to detail. As you would expect, Honda provide the Prelude with a staggering list of standard luxury touches. There's a lidded coin box on the fascia, the dipping mirror, the side window demisters, rear side pockets, one-piece carpet, carpeted boots, variable instrument illumination, glove box and boot illumination, etc, etc. All these items add to a feeling of real opulence, which contributes to the joy of owning and driving the Prelude. And then we get a look at the coin box again. It's unusual, isn't it, this little coin box that comes up like that. I think the interior is actually my favourite part, but there is a lovely image here of the front. I think this is quite cleverly photographed actually, because it is quite striking from that particular angle. We can see a little bit of a Honda name on the front grille there, but let's move on. We've got lots to get through yet. We get to the final category, safety. Bit of a grainy image, but it's certainly nice to see it from this angle. We'll come back to this main image and it goes through these 4 areas. Let's look at the images. First of all, it gives us a look at the dash, and basically the text here is just saying, everything's where you need it, basically. But the most interesting thing that it mentions, in my opinion, very interesting speedometer, isn't it? I do like it. It's a big speedometer, but kind of like what you miss is the inner part is actually the rev counter. And it talks about your eye just having to look in one place with your rev counter and your speedometer all in one eye shot. I think that's really clever actually. I think that's a really nice idea. And I think there is overall the car has got nice little touches like that. Here it's talking about your comprehensive major safety information, all your doors opened and oil, brake lights, battery charging, fuel choke, indicators and high beam. We also got this interesting little thing as well. One says tyre. It doesn't mean there's a tyre low, it's telling us that will come on when it's time for a tyre rotation. One is when to change the engine oil, one is when to change the oil filter. And here it tells us, large rear lights for safety, but I do like the rear lights actually, and we get a better look on this image. And we've got the nice little design of this coming around the lights. I do like that. Big fog lights there, tacked on as been an afterthought to meet UK regulations. And then we do get one more page about safety. So it tells us the Prelude is longer lasting, easier to maintain, responsive. An additional safety feature of the Prelude's braking system is the complete sealing of the sliding parts on the front disc brakes. The provision decreases the possibility that the brakes may be affected by salt or muddy water. As a result, the brakes last longer and retain their excellent responsiveness in poor conditions. See through the snow, it tells us. One of the contributions which the Prelude's carefully designed aerodynamics make to safety is the flow of air over the headlights, which force snow down through the grills below the light. Forward vision is thus retained during snowy night driving. Interesting. Images of those front disc brakes. Image of the front headlight, and with these little sections for snow to go through out the way. I guess because it's recessed, it's got the ability for snow to collect in that area. I think is probably the thinking. And then we have a front twilight style image showing the lights. So that then takes us to the technical specifications. Top here is the diagrams, size. It's a bit hard to show you on camera, so I'm going to skip that and move down to it talks about standard equipment. So standard equipment for the exterior: front glass, tinted, laminated; rear glass, tinted with electric defogger; door mirror, driver side, passenger side; door side protector, standard; bumper rubber corner pads, standard; inner fenders front, standard; interior, and apologies, it is only very small writing actually, but interior seats, fabric upholstery; front reclining separate seats with adjustable headrests; seat belts front 3-point, rear 3-point, manual by 2; inside rear view mirror, dual sun visors, steering collapsible, choke, maintenance indicators, coin pocket; ashtrays front and rear, side dimmest events, hand grip, door armrests, rear side pockets, carpet, boot opener, boot mat, boot side pockets; lights, we get passing light, instrument lighting control, hazard warning light, glove box light, boot room light; electrical system, wiper, 2-speeder and intermittent, plus rear screen wiper. It has a rear wiper, does it? I must have missed that. I'm going to have a look at that again. But electric windscreen washer, radio, clock, heater, rear fog lamps, meters, safety indicators. Certainly the images aren't showing a rear wiper, so that's a little bit puzzling. So we also get pilot lamps, cigarette lighter, heater panel illumination. Engine is water-cooled 4-cycle OHC, cylinder arrangement, 4-cylinder inline transverse, 1602 cc's. Talks about maximum horsepower, maximum torque, which I think we've already spoke about. Transmission, either a 5-speed manual, or we can add that Honda-matic, a 3-speed auto. Clutch for the 5-speed manual, hydraulic, dry, single plate diaphragm spring, and then we get the Honda-matic with a torque converter. Steering is rack and pinion. Suspension system, front and rear is independent McPherson strut, coil springs with stabilizer, shock absorber, front rear telescopic hydraulic. Brake system, front self-adjusting servo-assisted disc, and then rear self-adjusting servo-assisting leading trailing shoe and drum. Brake circuit is diagonal dual circuit. Parking brake, mechanical expanding rear 2 wheel brakes. So it looks like we get a choice of just 3 colours, which I presume must have been the 3 colours we were seeing in the brochure. So Tudor red metallic, which would mean your interior is ivory, carpet, soft ivory. And then we get Saint Moritz silver metallic, interior black, carpet, marble red. Ooh. And then the third colour, which just looks jet black here. On the pictures it looked more blue, but it says it's called Inverness Blue Black Metallic. That's an interesting colour. Interior orange, carpet dark red. That was quite the interior. And then that does take us to the end of the brochure. So there we go, the lovely Honda Prelude. Looking back at these, I kind of want one. It's a very interesting car, very interesting interior and interesting styling. I think overall it was a fantastic package to make a car looking a little bit sporty. Only a 1600 engine, but I'm sure it was okay. But with all that luxury package on there as well. Certainly Honda going in a new direction at this time to make quite a special car. Very much forgotten now. We always talk about things like Ford Capris, but let's pay a little respect for what was and was a wonderful little Honda. And of course, Honda built and built from this initial first generation. Let me know what you think, good or bad. Always interesting to hear, but nice to have a little bit of an interesting car that's also very reliable. But we'll end, as we always do, by saying Please do consider subscribing if you've not done already. Subscribing is completely free and keeps you in touch with the channel. Very niche subject, I know, and we don't have many subscribers purely because it's such a niche subject, I think. But if you are interested, it'd be very appreciated if you do subscribe from this video. And it actually tells me how many people subscribe from each video, and then I know what type of vehicles people like to see. But thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to like this video as well, another indication to tell me which type of videos everyone wants to see. I'll put a little bit of box over here. Probably I'll put over here last week's episode, which was the full range for 76, 77, which didn't include the Prelude, but did include cars like the Honda Civic and three-door Honda Accord. Thank you so much for watching. Please do take care. We'll see you very soon. And goodbye.